Call the roll.
Walters for 10 council members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Yeah, would the council please come to order? That means you should take your seats. This is the meeting of the City Council for the City of Los Angeles on the 6th day of January 1998. There are 15 council districts in the city. The regular meeting days are Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We are currently being viewed by cable subscribers throughout the Los Angeles area on Channel 35, and we're also being monitored by council phone. The first order of business.
Salute to the flag and the invocation.
All right, members of the council, we're going to have the salute to the flag, and then would you remain standing as we will have the invocation by Reverend Peter Moore Koklas, the United Methodist Church, representing the Southern California Economical Council and Methodist Community of Los Angeles. Mr. Fuhr, would you lead us into the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Fuhr, lead us into the pledge.
Would you please place your hand over your heart and begin with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reverend Moore Koch.
Before I begin this morning's invocation, let us take a moment of silence to remember Sonny Bono. Amen. And now let us be in prayer. Lord, you call us in this new year to a time of new beginnings, to a time to be big enough to set aside old hurts and broken ways amongst each other, and to a time that the City Council, mayor, staff, the people, institutions, the land, rivers and streams, and plants and animals, the whole of Los Angeles, discover better ways of living sustainably and in greater harmony with one another. You would remind us, O Lord, that this is a very special day in the Christian religious tradition. It is the day of Epiphany, a day of wonder, of new possibilities, of insight. It is the day, you tell us in the Bible, the wise ones, the Magi, arrived in Bethlehem, discovering a child who became one of your most human, yet transcendent love letters. A love letter whose purpose was and is to help us find ways that human policy, environmental policy, religious policy, corporate policy, and public policy can seek after and work for what can be called sustainable neighborhoods of love and mutual respect. Or as St. Paul put it, living and legislating for the common good of all people and of all creation. Lord, help us this day as the City Council, the mayor, the staff, and all of us to seek after the common good, that we would be for all of Los Angeles a love letter of compassion and hope in this new year. Amen.
Reverend, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I should explain to the people in the audience that the first meeting of every month we have the Pledge of Allegiance, and that was the reason for the pledge today. So the first order of business?
Approval of the minutes.
All right, Mrs. Chick moves, Ms. Goldberg seconds. If there's no objections, unanimous vote. Next item.
On today's regular agenda, you have items noticed for public hearing, which are items 1 through 15. Motion required except for 9, 10, and 15. Ordinance on 15.
We want to receive and file 5 and 7.
Yes, and Building and Safety just informed me a few minutes ago that they want to add 12 and 13 to the receive and file since the assessments were paid.
Okay. So 5, 7, 12, and 13.
Receive and file.
Anybody want to be heard on any of the other files? We don't. We have somebody who wants to be heard on 10. We'll call that one special. Anybody else want to be heard? 15. We have somebody who wants to be heard. So we'll call 10 and 15 special. And then we'll prepare the roll on, close the public hearing on the balance.
And I need a motion from the floor to confirm the assessments on 1 through 4, 6 and 8, and continue item 11, 30 days to February the 6th, item 14, 60 days to March the 11th.
All right, Mrs. Chick moves that. Any discussion on those?
Just, Mr. President, on the new procedures here, if we wanted to ask to allow for a public hearing on item 15,
We did call it out.
okay.
Yeah.
And are we just going through 19 at this time?
No, through 15.
Okay.
Okay. All right, prepare the roll on those, motion by Mrs. Chick. Tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
Those are approved. Now we have somebody that wants to be heard on 10. Lee Robin, would you take the center microphone there?
Good morning, Mr. Ferraro. Represent the applicant, Mr. Park, and Coachella Associates. This is a simple 50-seat Japanese sushi bar on Wilshire Boulevard. It's been delayed by a competitor that's 100 feet west of us, and we believe that the findings of the Board of Zoning Appeals and the findings of the Plum Committee should be found today by the council. Thank you.
Item number 10, that was, that Ms. Kelsey, that's in your district. Is there any
Heard this, had a public hearing, and we recommend the denial of the appeal and the approval of the application.
Okay, you heard the motion. Is there any discussion on that? If not, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
That is approved. Forthwith to the mayor on that. And item 15, we have three people who want to be heard. Shirley Blessing, Gordon Murley. Gordon Murley wants to be heard twice, I guess. Two per. Gordon, Shirley Blessing, did you want to be heard?
Yes. Yes. I'm taking Gordon.
Just take their center microphone and.
President Ferraro, council members, Gordon Murley has also conceded his time to me. My statement is brief. I represent the Woodland Hills Homeowners Organization and various individuals living in and around Warner Ridge. For those of you who did not have the opportunity to read the information faxed to you yesterday, these are the three conditions of the development agreement which we ask you to uphold and not amend. The first one is that the three-story limit for the residential phase must be adhered to. You, the city, and the developer agreed to a three-story limit in the development agreement. Our community of over 1,100 single-family homes and 66 townhomes has no structure more than 3 stories. Keep it 3 stories, please. The second one is the development agreement and the standards set forth in this agreement requires an access road be constructed at the existing traffic light at Irwin Street and DeSoto Avenue. We feel this requirement must be adhered to provide safe egress and ingress to the construction site, and it should be part of this first phasing. The third one is that no construction equipment be allowed to ingress or egress on Oxnard Street. All construction equipment should be required to use the entrance at the traffic signal at Irwin and DeSoto. Oxnard Street is a rather steep hill with a grade that is greater than 6%. It would be dangerous for traffic to have to stop midway down this grade to accommodate the large trucks and construction equipment entering and exiting from the construction site. For those of you not familiar with the site, the entrance to the residential phase of Warner Ridge is opposite the 66 townhomes and approximately 200 feet from the DeSoto intersection, the east boundary of busy Warner Center. If construction equipment is allowed to use Oxnard Street, who will be liable for accidents, the city or the developer? Think about it. Recently, the Daily News has had several articles and editorials highlighting the ready access that paid lobbyists have to elected and paid employees regarding the Warner Ridge issue. I hope later today, when I return to my community, I can tell them that without the aid of paid lobbyists and lawyers, you saw the merits of our request and that you did not amend the development agreement for the developer, but require the developer to adhere to the 3 conditions we request and is required in the development agreement. Let us Let us today make a new beginning and take seriously today's invocation and make our neighborhood sustainable and livable for all. Thank you very much.
Mr. Murley doesn't want to be heard, so we'll close the public hearing. Mrs. Chick?
This was before us several weeks ago, and I had asked for this delay because there had been some confusion in the timing of noticing the public hearing. Many of you know the long history of the Warner Ridge property. Many of you know it better than I. You were here on the council when there was a lawsuit brought and the city lost that lawsuit. This is not my very favorite project in the world, and if I had full discretion on it, there probably would have been changes that I would have liked to have seen. But we have inherited little running room, and what was being asked is to change the order between the commercial and the residential of which portion of this project goes forward first. What we have before us is 125 residential units. The Department of Transportation, the Bureau of Engineering, Planning Department, et cetera, spent a great deal of time with me and my staff looking at whether the mitigations that had been originally tied to the first phase, the commercial phase, were needed by these 125 residential units. And they found that they were not. In addition, some other changes were made that I think are very positive. One of them being to remove the requirement to widen Oxnard as a way of, in fact, decreasing traffic problems there, and the developer has agreed to put $160,000 into the trust fund and to be used for a variety of traffic mitigations throughout the community, many of which will be caused by the adjacent Warner Center growth. I took very seriously some of the community's concerns about ingress and egress on construction. It's why I consulted with LAPD Valley Traffic and Department of Transportation, who told me that if we moved it to DeSoto, we would have more serious problems, and that the grading involved here is not such that it should disrupt things on Oxnard and in the residential neighborhood, and that there are attempts on the part of the developer to find a working arrangement with the adjacent Pierce College to take the excess dirt which Pierce is saying it needs. And that discussion is still going on between the developer and Pierce. We have some non-substantive language changes that the city attorney is going to discuss with us, and I will move that we adopt those and give a unanimous vote to this project. Thank you.
Ms. Goldberg?
Yeah, I just want to know if it does these three things. Really, I just wanted to know, does this take the three-story limit off? What's before us today?
Yeah, what this does is reverts to the citywide ordinance, which now says 45 feet. The height limit hasn't changed. But citywide, we changed the ordinance limiting it to 3 feet, which is 3 stories, which is normally 45 feet.
All right, so
to allow design flexibility, what this does is allow a clustering of the units instead of spreading them all over the property, which would have required seriously more grading and less open space. 45-foot limit is intact.
Okay. The service road issue of number 2, do they have to build that service road before or after or ahead?
They do not have to build a service road for this phase.
And
that's the one that would open up onto
and
DeSoto.
the equipment egress and ingress will not be on Oxnard Street. Is that correct?
No,
It will be, and it was under the, or it is under the existing development agreement. What this adds is a condition that they have to have on-site parking, which the existing development agreement does not have.
Okay. So if I were a person from the Woodland Hills Homeowners Organization, I would say I've got number 1. I never had number 3, and number 2 is a no? Under the action we're about to take today?
Number 2 is a no. Number 1, the advocates here today want to keep the 3-story limit rather than allowing the citywide current ordinance to apply.
So 45 feet might allow more than 3 stories.
That's right.
I got it. So in essence, None of their requests are included today. Thank you.
Anyone else want to be heard on item number 15?
If I could,
Huh? Patty Tubert?
yes, if I could let you know that developer has asked that we clarify some of the language that is before you. The planning department, as well as the council office and myself, have reviewed these clarifications. They do not change the substance of the agreement that's before you. They only make it clear. The changes are to separate from section C4 1.1 what's required for residential versus what's required for commercial, to make it clearer to understand. Also, to add the language that development of the residential portion shall be done in compliance with the development standards, but shall be implemented only shall be conditioned only on implementation of the following public infrastructure improvements. That is the same as was in the last agreement. It just makes it clear that these are the only public improvements. In the commercial section, it adds the language provided that if the residential portion is developed first, a bond must be posted to ensure that DeSoto improvements will be done as part of the commercial development, and also adds that the $160,000, if it goes into the Warner Center Neighborhood Protection Fund, as if the council decides not to improve Oxnard Street, that money has to be designated for traffic improvements and other traffic safety measures on Oxnard Street and in the surrounding neighborhoods. All of these are consistent with the intent of the agreement with the developer. If council approves these changes, this does not change the ordinance that's before you, and I would have, by the end of the day, the new development agreement ready to go with the file.
Number 15 before us. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 eyes.
That is approved. We'll send that forthwith. Next item.
Items for which public hearings have been held, Mr. President, are items 16 through 27. Motion required for items 25. And I've been informed by CD3, Ms. Chick's staff, that she would like items 27 continued to February the 6th, and items 28 through 31 continued 1 week to January 13th. You have a motion on 19A.
Members, we have items 16 through 27. 27 has been requested to be continued until
February 6th.
February 6th. Is there any objections to that? Seeing none, the matters before us are
And 28 through 31 continued 1 week to January 13th.
28 to 31, we're not there yet, are we? 16 through 27.
You're right.
So 27 is continued. All right, any specials by council members? 25 is called special.
Item 19 and 21, Mr. President.
19 and 21. 27 is continued. Any others? If not, prepare the roll on items 16 through 26 with the exception of 19, 21, and 25.
Does that include the motion 19A?
Well, yes, of course. 19 has been called special. Tabulate the vote.
14 eyes.
Those are approved. Next item.
Items for which public hearings have not been held are items 28 through 35, 28 through 31 to be continued 1 week to January 13th.
Mr. President, may I request a forthwith on 26, please?
Forthwith on 26. 28 through 35. And you wanted to continue it to which ones?
Continue items 28 through 31 1 week to January 13th.
28 through 31. Is there any objections to that? Seeing none, that will be the order. We have somebody that wants to be heard on 32 and 35. We'll call those special. Anybody else want to be heard on any of the other items? If not, the public hearing is closed on those. Any specials by council members? If not, prepare the roll on 28 through 35 with the exception of 28 through 31, which have been continued, and 32 and 35, which are called special. Tabulate the vote.
14 eyes.
Those are approved. Next item.
Item 19 called special.
All right, Mr. Hernandez, you call 19 special?
Mr. President, members of council, what I'd like to do at this time is just call for a 5-minute public hearing on this leaf blower issue. It's my understanding that some of the representatives of the Gardeners Association would like to talk about the new technology as well as the continued impact this ordinance would have. And again, I know it's a second reading of the ordinance, and I'm just asking for a 5-minute public hearing if that's possible.
You're making a motion for what now, Mr.?
A 5-minute public hearing, Mr. President.
How much?
5 minutes.
All right, is there any objection to a 5-minute public hearing? If that's 5 minutes on each side?
If there's both sides.
Huh?
I just would rather hear one side, but again, I guess we should listen to both sides, Mr. President.
Well, we do want to be fair.
Right.
That's very difficult at times. Okay, Douglas Kraus, 5 minutes on each side. Ann, would you change it to 5 minutes?
Good morning. I've offered copies of my prepared statement for the council. I hope that they've been distributed. This is in reference to Agenda Item 19, the leaf blower ordinance. My name is Douglas Cruzy. I'm the President and Director of Research for Micropulse Controls, a product development company with offices in Chatsworth and Burbank, California. Micropulse has been generally aware of the leaf blower discussions before the City Council and wishes to commend you for your efforts to meet the needs of both private citizens and commercial enterprises. My first serious consideration to develop a product for leaf blower noise compliance was inspired by a recent KNX radio report featuring Adrian Alvarez. Mr. Alvarez made a direct request as a spokesman for the Association of Latin American Gardeners. He stated they hoped to find someone who could make a quiet leaf blower. As a result of the radio broadcast of his request, I met with the association on December 23, 1997. The association confirmed that they have a serious desire to be in compliance with fair and equitable noise level regulations of the City of Los Angeles.
Mr. Cruz, we do have other people want to be heard, and we don't want you to have a whole 5 minutes for your commercial, so please.
Okay, I will refer specifically to Item 5. The technology was demonstrated January 5, 1998 in the presence of Officer Alan Kamak of the Noise Enforcement Team, Uniform Support Division, Los Angeles Police Department. In this demonstration on 1st Street, just south of Main Street, over 500 feet from any residence, the ambient noise level was 65 dBA. Full throttle operation of the Astron leaf blower with the retrofit kit installed was indistinguishable from the background noise as observed by Officer Kamak of the Noise Enforcement Team. Use of the EMCO SLM sound level meter by Officer Kamak showed that the leaf blower never exceeded the ambient noise level by 5 dBA when using the retrofit kit. These demonstrations show the requirements of LAMC Section 11205 can be achieved.
All right, thank you. Roy Imuzu, and Ki Utsumi.
Kei Utsumi.
Okay, you're next after this gentleman.
Members of the City Council, I defer my time to Adrian Alvarez.
Okay, well, Kei Utsumi, you have the floor. Mr. Alvarez, you're be next.
Okay. The gardeners are providing a service, maintaining people's garden for people that don't want to or can't do it themselves. Leaf blowers don't contribute to global warming as a chainsaw which cuts down trees. Malathion contributes to global warming. The pollution that the leaf blower causes is insignificant, just little dust, chemical, nuclear waste, pesticide, toxins produced by military, biological, germ warfare, chemical warfare. The nuclear industry is what is the real polluter. Now, anyone that uses electricity, office workers, get their energy from nuclear energy, a lot of it. That's the most toxic substance in the world. Don't confuse pollution. They're making a living. Remember, Martin Luther King, before he was assassinated, just before he was assassinated, marched with the garbage workers.
Okay.
You know, so I'm saying, Jackie Goldberg, where is your free speech consciousness? Joe Wax, Malathion, what you fought against is a real polluter.
Please, thank you. Thank you. Mr. Adrian.
Martin Luther King endorsed the leaf blowers just before he died?
I just want to say to Margaret Lee Thomas, to Jackie Goldberg, in particular people that claim to be progressive, that claim to be for the working class, that have a background in civil rights. There's 12 people hunger striking since last Friday because it's the only way that we can let you guys know how serious this is going to impact the gardeners. You can come and talk to the people and offer a glass of water at least if you're really concerned with the workers and what they have to say. We all heard the arguments. I'm just here to say that this is the only way that we can express our voice. This is the only way that we can show you how drastic the impact is going to be. And we intend on continuing the hunger strike, even if we are to die, because we want the world to know, we want everyone to know that here in this hall of justice and democracy, the common people, the taxpayer, the hard worker immigrant has no representation. Your response, your alternative has been cynical.
The time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we'll have those that in favor. Dorothy Knight. Dorothy Knight, Robert Locker, did you want to be heard on this item? You better move fast. The time is running. Jack DeCamp. What is your name?
Jack DeCamp. President Ferraro, council members, we are on the threshold of an important step for Los Angeles. By reaffirming your approval of the leaf blower ordinance before you, you will be assuring millions of residents of our city of cleaner, healthier air in the years to come. A notable achievement.
Peter Graves. Gordon Murley would be next.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Peter Graves, of course, in support of the banning of leaf blowers. I think a whole smokescreen seems to have been laid here, a media event created and orchestrated by a few to incite high emotion and to obviously try to influence the emotions of the council and to cloud the real issues. The issues have been so thoroughly discussed here in front of this council that I think we all are tired of that now, and we need this ordinance passed. We're all victims of this machine, and most especially the gardeners who have to suffer with the use of it. Perhaps not now, but in their 30s, their 40s, and their 50s, they'll be the ones who are the real victims of this machine. Thank you for your time.
Gordon Murley.
President Ferraro, members of the council, I'm representing the Federation Hillside and Canyon Association, San Fernando Valley Federation. Let me just remind you, between 4 and 5 years ago, we sat in hearings on this, and the industry and the gardeners told us that they could get the decibels down to 70 or less, and they could make them into vacuums. Nothing has been done by them, and until we draw a line and say it will be done by this date, it will be 4 years down and we will still be there. So we would just ask that you affirm this, let the industry and the gardeners do what they promised 4.5 years ago to do, to get the decibels down and make them into vacuums. Thank you.
Jack Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Council. The only thing I want to say is there's not going to be any loss of jobs to this. All our surveys have shown that more gardeners are being hired to do the extra work, and no gardeners are losing their jobs. And so it's not an economic problem. The second thing I want to say is every city that's tried to regulate these has found it impossible, because every time you have to have an expert noise equipment, sound equipment go up, and when they do, the gardener immediately turns off the leaf blower or shuts it down, so they never can enforce this thing if you have a DBA level. Thank you.
Michael Mettenberg. Robert Locker, Dorothy Knight. Okay, we did. Okay, what is your name?
Michael Miltenberg. I've spoken here before. I'd like to point out again, I agree with Mr. Graves. This should not be an emotional issue. This is a scientific issue. This is not a racial issue. This is an environmental issue. As he also said, we've gone through this before, and I would ask that the council please uphold the law that they've already written. I would like to point out some things I had just seen recently. In this magazine, this concerns water pollution from two-stroke versus four-stroke engines. The two-stroke engine is applicable here because that's what powers a leaf blower. This is a picture of a two-stroke engine and a four-stroke engine in a tank running for 2 hours. The four-stroke engine tank is clear after 2 hours. The two-stroke engine tank is impossible to see through because of the pollution. That's why these kinds of motors are banned from many municipalities. We've banned smoking. We're making electric cars. GM is not on a hunger strike. It's not necessary. We can scientifically change our behavior for the environment. Please uphold this ban. Thank you.
Okay. You will be the last one. What is your name?
My name is Barbara Alvarez, and I'm here on behalf of the Coalition for Fair Legislation. I am a licensed California landscape contractor.
Miss, you're opposed to this, and we've had their time up, so you're out of order. All the people who have signed cards will be made part of the file, and the public hearing is closed as we agreed to a 5-minute public hearing on each side. All right, Mr. Hernandez, you have the floor.
You know, members of the council, and I guess I want to speak on behalf of the future of the city of Los Angeles. You know, a lot of people said this is not an emotional issue, but you need to understand that it is an emotional issue to gardeners. When I say that, it's a basic tool that they use in their industry. And so from their perspective, why we as a council chose that tool to go after is not understandable. You see, I need you to understand that they sit there doing their work knowing that people use vacuum cleaners in homes that make a lot of noise. They sit there doing their work knowing that the city of Los Angeles trash trucks create a lot of environmental questions. They know automobiles deal with the same thing, and they're asking the question, why our tool? At the same time, we as a city want to be progressive, and we have to deal with our environment. And we have a clear understanding that we have to do that, and we've been doing that in a variety of areas. And there's some motions that will be before us today that hopefully can help expedite the tool in terms of using electric batteries with the Department of Water and Power's assistance, and hopefully we'll pass that today, and that'll help the industry. But what this ordinance does is it bans them. It doesn't regulate them. I don't think it allows for the gray area for technology to accomplish the task that we are asking for it to accomplish. You see, I think that when we say no to something, we throw the baby out with the bathwater. The reality is we don't know what we're going to get in return. I do know that when I sat at the Rose Parade January 1st, and the LA Unified School District's band was playing right in front of me, I almost couldn't hear them when the vacuum cleaners were walking right by in front of us. The noise issue is one issue. The pollution issue is a second issue. But let's understand that you have a group of working people, where this is their basic tool that they use every day, and we're saying you can't use it. They organized around this issue, and they're doing a hunger strike around this issue. Why would someone go through the sacrifice of a hunger strike unless they felt powerless against government? And so what I'm trying to explain to you right now is I don't think we developed that partnership on this issue. We did not develop a partnership between the working class people and technology and government. And I also know the political realities. The political realities that say we will respond to voters. We will respond to certain communities. And we don't serve all the people. Now, I say that, members, because I have a letter that's been signed by 6 members on this council who understand the need of that tool. And if this ordinance passes today, we're now going to the next level. And I'm asking for the mayor to consider the partnership of technology, government, and the working class people to try and make this thing happen by asking him to veto it if it was to pass today.
Thank you. Mr. Holden. We'd asked you not to demonstrate. We do want to have the discussion. So, Mr. Holden, you have the floor.
That was louder than the leaf blowers. It hurt my ears. But let me just say this, Mr. President. How many times have we heard justice delayed, justice denied? And we use the argument about the OSHA, Occupational Health and Safety Administration, and the reason why it was created in the first place. And when that argument was used initially over a year ago, Mr. Hernandez, Mr. Alatorre, Mr. Alacan, and substantial numbers of the City Council voted for the ordinance because we were thinking about the health, safety, and welfare of the operators, of the leaf blowers. And they voted yes. Now today, they have a different message. But as far as I'm concerned, the only message that should be heard is the one dealing with the safety, health, and welfare of the people who are using this leaf blower, as well as the people who are in the immediate environment in which the leaf blower is being used. Just a couple of days ago, my deputy was driving down the street, and a person operating the leaf blower had a mask on his face because he understands our message about his health. And then he had the leaf blower going, he blew the grass in the middle of the street, and he ran into the street almost in front of the car, not hearing the car coming, in an attempt to blow it back. How many times have you seen that? More than you would like to see it. So here, if this driver were not attentive, this guy could have been hit and killed, as an example. They're too noisy. We don't need them. I'm not saying let's roll back the clock, but when I first came to California, many years thereafter, they used a lawnmower with a catch trap in the back, collected the grass, put it in the container, and that's what we have this program about anyway. They're not doing that. They blow it in the street, blow it down the next person's front door, into the catch basin. How many times have you seen that? I've seen it more than I like to see it. So I would say to you that the time has come. We've given them 4+ years, even 12 years. I think Zev introduced this a long time ago, to respond to the need to reduce the noise level and to create a more efficient program for cutting our lawns and maintaining our neighborhoods. And they just have not done that. We have nothing against the individuals here who use the leaf blowers. I can tell you, many of them are so young where they don't remember how it used to be done. It was done efficiently and it was well done, and there was no blower. There was no blower. In fact, I'm going to take a horse and drive you out of here if you don't let me finish my speech. The fact of the matter is that, Mr. President, I would say to you that it's a gross misunderstanding, obviously, on the part of many, and that's very unfortunate. I'm convinced thoroughly that this program, as it was previously designed with the catch in the back, will work. We don't need the blower. We shouldn't have it. It's not good for their health safety, and I'm not going to vote for. I'm going to vote aye on the ordinance once again. It just
Ms. Galanter.
I want to call your attention to motion number 19A, which is on the desk, which I've introduced this morning and Mr. Hernandez has seconded. You may recall that several weeks ago we adopted the proposed Department of Water and Power's proposed public benefits program, which included, among other things, for those of you who've read it, included, among other things, programs or the beginnings of programs to assist with most of the programs we talked about, it was homeowners or businesses to afford devices that would use less power or use less water, and that the public benefits program of the Department of Water and Power can be used to assist in bringing about the technological changes and making those technological changes affordable to the people who need to use the equipment. So this motion, which I hope we will adopt this morning, requests the Department of Water and Power to review the potential opportunities in the public benefits program to reduce the costs to gardeners associated with converting from gas-powered leaf blowers to electric leaf blowers, and to asks DWP to report to the Environmental Quality and Waste Management Committee as quickly as possible. What we hope to do is something analogous to the program that was started a number of years ago to assist homeowners to retrofit the toilets in their units by helping to purchase the low water use toilets and conserve water. In this case, we have an opportunity, I think, and I certainly want to explore it, to use the public benefits program as a way to make the burden of conversion less for those who will be faced with it under this ban. So it's not a part of the ordinance that's on the table before us today, but I hope that we will adopt it concurrently so that we can get the show on the road.
Ms. Miskowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Those who have been opposed to this ordinance have said that it ought to happen, and it's just a question of time. Mr. Hernandez said today that there's a gray area and we should delay. It's been in a gray area for the last 12 years when it was first introduced. There are those who said we should do something different in the industry, and for 12 years they've been out there having that ability and not really provided anything. Today what we have before us is a public health issue, an environmental issue, and in fact a market issue, a market issue of supply and demand. There's no question, I agree with the gardeners who indicated that they are providing a basic service, and that basic service is an important one. But in an economy of supply and demand, where that demand is there for their services, they should be able to charge a reasonable rate for their hours to do the cleaning and the lawn work, and raise their rates. And I think that there have been indications from folks who need that service that they will have to pay that commodity. It's a basic issue in our country and in our economic system. We've gone through this before. It clearly is a public safety issue. What we have done in the last year, when the Council last approved this in December of 1996, was go through that delay, look at this ordinance, and make it work better, make it work in a more moderate fashion, to decriminalize to a certain extent the penalties that were involved, to make it work consistent with what is out there in the communities. I believe that the council has ratified this in the past, has reaffirmed that, and there's no reason to further delay it. It's something whose time has come. We will be, I'm sure, looking at it in the future in terms of making it more comprehensive, as those who've asked for a delay have suggested. But I think before us today is the second reading of the ordinance, a more moderate ordinance, and I ask for an aye vote.
Mr. Alarcon.
Council members, we've gone back and forth on this issue. I think all of us have basically entrenched ourselves in our positions. But I think it's important for us to have this discussion because we are, as we take these kinds of actions, impacting portions of our community in severe ways. The gardeners certainly rely on this tool. They didn't invent it, but they rely on it to perform services. And we have a responsibility certainly to keep a clean environment, a healthy environment in our residential communities in particular. And I think all of us would like to be able to say that we have no more leaf blowers, gas-powered leaf blowers in the city of Los Angeles. I mean, wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? But the reality is, well, hold your applause. The reality is that I think we can do a better job. I think, first of all, this is not a ban in my book because it allows for the use of leaf blowers outside of 500 feet of residential. Well, think about all the spaces where leaf blowers, gas-powered leaf blowers, can be used within that context. There's a lot of areas in the city of Los Angeles that will not be impacted whatsoever by this particular ordinance. As you know, I submitted an alternative plan that would have sought a compromise that initially would have created an ordinance. It would have enforced the law. It would have required 65 decibels or less, which they believe they can meet now today. It would have also, in 5 years, taken us to a complete ban on gas-powered leaf blowers. And the gardeners agreed to that. So I think we can do a better job. My vote against this ordinance is not because I certainly don't love leaf blowers. I believe that we can work our way out of this technology. And I believe that it would be good for us to eventually eliminate leaf blowers from society and a whole lot of other things that we need to work on. And that's why I worked hard to get on the Air Quality Management District. But I also believe that as a society, we want to create harmony in our community, and we want to create unity, and we want to build consensus in our community, because if there's one thing that is troubling Los Angeles, is that we are creating division in our communities. I would like to think that an ordinance that we prepare would build consensus in our community and build that unity that this city so much needs. I support and signed the letter that was prepared by Councilman Hernandez because I believe that the mayor will be able to look at the issue and see that we can do a better job, and I believe that he will ask us to do a better job.
Mr. Alarcon,
and so I will join with my colleagues who signed that letter to ask the mayor to veto this ordinance if it passes, not because I want leaf blowers, but because I think we can do a better job of eliminating them in the long run.
Mr. Stavornich.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. I do think there is one component of this entire leaf blower debate that has been missing from its inception. And I raised the issue a few months back, and the last time we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I did not. But today I'm going to raise the issue again. We have heard from the gardeners, we've heard from the homeowners groups, we've heard from each other as colleagues on the city council. But we have not heard from city staff in regards to what not being able to use leaf blowers by city personnel is going to cost the taxpayers of the city of Los Angeles. And I would too ask the mayor to veto this ordinance until this council can hear from the Department of Recreation and Parks, from the Street Maintenance Department, from any agency within the city government or from without the city government. Have we heard from the school district? How are they going to clean their playgrounds? How are we going to clean our parks? How are we going to do the jobs that a couple of months ago information from the city department said would cost the taxpayers in labor alone over $1 million because of the additional labor increase to city forces by their not being able to use this tool of convenience also. I think that we've heard the environmental issues, we've heard the technology issues, but we have not heard the issues in regards to what it is going to cost all taxpayers of the City of Los Angeles to implement this ordinance. I have not seen the legislative analyst at this table. I have not seen the CAO at this table. I have seen no one for street maintenance or rec and parks. We have seen no one in this city government that has said how much this is going to cost all of us as taxpayers. As such, I would like to move a 1 week's continuance on this ordinance until we can hear from the city departments and the CAO and the CLA to see what it's going to cost the taxpayers, all the taxpayers of this city, to implement this ordinance, and I so move.
Mr. Burnson.
His motion.
Okay, well, you know, if you ask me, am I opposed to the noise, I'd say yes. If you ask me if I'm opposed to the dust, I'd say yes. If you ask me, should we ban the use of gasoline-powered engines, I would say, why single them out? I didn't come downtown on horseback today, and I don't think any of you did. Wait a minute, you're using my time. Now, let me just tell you this. Originally, I amended this motion when it originally came here to do something that I thought was practical and would solve most of the problems. There are some people that are never going to be satisfied, and we understand that. You can't please everybody. My original support of a leaf blower ordinance was that it be a vacuum and that it be under a certain decibels, just as you stated. And I still support that. Now, that can be done. It isn't up to the gardeners to do it. It's up to the city and up to the industry to make those types of tools available. These are people that barely make a living, and they work hard to make a living. And I'll tell you something, and there will be a cost involved, not just to the city, but to the people who avail themselves of their services. Now, the biggest problem I have with leaf blowers is not the gasoline burning portion of it. It's the dust and other things that are strewn all over the place into their neighbors and into the atmosphere. I will support my original position on a vacuum and a under 70 decibels, I believe is what it was, right, Gordon? I'm still there. I'll support that. I cannot support what is before us today, and I don't intend to.
Mr. Alatorre.
Mr. President and members, you know, I don't like to see people that feel that there's no other recourse than to go into hunger strikes. You know, why is it that whenever we, many times that we legislate against the innocent people? Why not legislate to make sure that you penalize those that manufacture and force the manufacturers to come up with something that is environmentally sound, that is provides the type of relief I think that people are talking about. See, what we have done is that we're penalizing what we would consider to be the poorest of the poor. It's that segment of our society that doesn't want government to help them, that wants to work, that wants to elevate the dignity of their family and themselves. They're hardworking people. But by the action that we are taking, is that we're not doing anything to pressure, really pressure the way we should. Why not make it a penalty and make a penalty against the manufacturers of these leaf blowers instead of hurting the people that all they want to do is to work and not to be a drain to any governmental segment, and to hopefully work toward what the American dream is supposed to be all about. Now, we're going to impact anybody that does business within a certain square footage or within a certain number of feet from certain institutions. But for those that are not within those confines, how are they going to be penalized? How are we really forcing an industry that I agree that years ago should have done something about this issue, but evidently they were not so motivated. So now what we're doing is that we're impacting, people that are hardworking, that want to make a living. It seems to me that there is a better way of doing our business, and why not go after and make it a penalty? If that's what we want to do, if we want to arrest them, arrest the people that deserve it, because they should have been in the forefront. And it shouldn't be the people that all they want to do is make a living, the people that are here on a hunger strike. They're trying to really put it very graphically and in the minds of people that this is not really the way to go. And I agree that this is not the way to go. I want to get rid of leaf blowers if that is the thing. I mean, I certainly don't want my little girl, I don't want anybody to be hurt by it. But we're not doing this by this action. We're doing it within certain segments, certain areas, but we're not doing it on a universal basis. Why not just go after the manufacturers and force them to come up with something that is environmentally sound and doesn't create the health risks that allegedly are created by leaf blowers? So I would ask, obviously, for no vote.
Ms. Misakowski.
I'd like to respond to the issue raised by Mr. Savornich about the need for further study by CLA and CAO and all the departments. In fact, Mr. Savornich, the Environmental Quality and Waste Management Committee held many hearings and meetings, had a task force where the CLA and all of the departments that you're concerned about participated. That report is available and is attached to the file. All of the agencies in the city, Recreation and Parks, Street Trees, General Services, Department of Transportation, Department of Water and Power, all indicated that they are now complying with the ordinance per the 500 feet ban. None of them indicated a specific cost increase associated with it. Recreation and Parks, perhaps the most significantly affected because 80% of its area is covered within near 500 feet of residences, is exploring alternates to the leaf blower, whether it be battery pack, whether it be electric. There's going to be normal equipment replacement, and they are looking at that. Street Tree or Street Maintenance indicated that they have a contract. The contract did increase, but they weren't able to determine whether the contract increased in cost as a consequence of the living wage ordinance which the city passed or other items. So there are things that the council has done which has caused some increase, but it's not singularly the leaf blower issue. I think those issues have been addressed. We've been spending a lot of time on it, a lot of serious time by the city agencies. The city agencies, as recommended by the CLA, recommended the changes brought to this council by way of this ordinance, and we are working closely with these other agencies. As far as the school district, as I think you're aware, the school district is not required to comply with the city ordinances, so that we would look to them to be persuasive in the leaf blower ban, but it would not be required to as a consequence of the city. So I think the city agencies have been accommodating to this issue, indicating that they are absorbing the costs or finding alternative mechanisms. That's already been done. I don't think we need the one-week delay.
Ms. Goldberg, you have not spoken. You have the floor.
Surprising but true. Mr. Alatorre, I couldn't agree with you more about where the blame lies. And it is very often in our culture, and actually in most societies, where people who are not the cause of a problem end up being affected by looking for its solution. And I think that's exactly where we are today. However, I don't believe, after waiting and numbers of us have called and urged and written I don't believe we're going to get a technological change until the people can't sell their technology in this city and other cities. I think that's what's going to drive it. I hate that that's true, but I believe that's what it takes. I believe that that's exactly what's going to happen. We are going to get the technological changes. In the meantime, however, I think we are going to be looking at a lot of changes in our way of living if this planet is going to exist well into the next century. You know, we spent a lot of time talking about whether or not people could smoke and where they could smoke. A very personal and individual, what many people thought was a right. But we determined that because the smoke they smoked affected people who never smoked and didn't care to smoke and didn't want to be around it, that really in virtually all public places, including the last bastion, bars, are now off limits to smokers. I view this in much the same way, which is to say that yes, there will be hardships. I think anybody who denies that is kidding themselves. And I am depressed that the hardships will fall on those on whom the hardships always fall the heaviest, those marginally employed. But I do believe that there are major health issues involved in this, and I can't find a way around that. Issues for the person carrying the equipment, issues for people who have sensitive lungs, issues for people with asthma. The incidence of children with asthma in LA County is higher than in any time in history. And I think that those are real issues. I know that there are real issues that will be of great harm, and I have had a great deal of difficulty with this issue because I really have a foot in each camp. But I think that we cannot force the technology without making the people who want the profits from it, which are the people who sell this leaf blowers, to be forced, if they want to be in this market, to come up with a machine that doesn't do the harmful things that these currently do. You know, I could be wrong about that. I don't feel good about it in either direction. My mail is running about 50-50, and this is a very tough one for me, but I feel very strongly that at some point or another, we have to go forward and say to those who produce technology that harms people that if we can put a rocket on the moon, if we can have a rover on Mars, for God's sakes, you can develop a leaf blower that doesn't pollute the environment.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. Mr. Hernandez.
Please, you know, members of the council, there are a variety of reasons why we do what we do, and I think that we're all trying to do what we think is right on this issue. But you know, the realities are, we are going to impact gardeners. The realities are, when I survey my neighborhood, and there's single-family homes, very few apartment buildings, we have one gardener who does most of them. He also happens to be a neighbor. And he shares with me the importance of the tool, but he also shares with me the importance that tool has to Mrs. Gamet, the lady down the street who's a senior citizen on limited income, whose yard he does at a lower rate than mine because he feels her yard should be kept up like everybody else's. He shares with me how he goes around cleaning sidewalks that aren't part of his route simply because he has to make sure the neighborhood stays clean. So he's my neighbor. And I think that's the strongest reason why I'm supporting gardeners, because it's their basic tool. But you know, when we talk about the feelings that we have, see, we're government and we're legislating. And we're doing it in a way right now where we don't have consensus. We're doing it in a way where the impact we have, and you got to understand that Spanish-speaking media, for those of you who don't habla español, whether it be radio or TV, this is a major issue. In the Spanish-speaking community, this is a major issue. It is us, government, trying to slap the working class people down. Now, we might not read that in the LA Times, and it might not seem important in more affluent communities, but it is important in working class communities. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up is because I have to. I have no choice as to what side I have to stand on. Now, there's a story that I once told before in these chambers, and Mr. President, hopefully you'll give me the time to say it again. It was a story Tip O'Neill always talked about, how his father taught him the art of politics. And it was on the Little League baseball diamond. When a kid hit the ball clearly over the first baseman's head, and the kid runs to first base, he decides he can make it a double. So he takes off to second base, the ball is thrown, it's a close call. Sorry to say his father was still behind home plate, he couldn't see that close. He runs out there and he decides how to figure out if the kid was out or safe. So what he thought he'd do is he'd ask the kids, how many thought he was out? 9 hands went up. How many thought he was safe? 9 hands went up. So he thought about it, he said, how many of you think he was safe at first base? Well, 18 hands went up. So being the guy who sets the rules, he said, let's go back to first. He sent the runner back to first. Now, I'm reminding us because we're setting the rules. And we're trying to force the issue because we believe we're right. I don't believe this is the kind of issue we should be forcing. And that's why we're asking for time. I think we're all trying to do it for the right reasons. Now, when this body doesn't do it today, because we all have our convictions, we're asking the mayor to do the right thing. But everybody in this city should have a voice.
Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you.
Mr. Holden. Mr. Holden.
Yes, Mr. President. Ms. Goldberg talked about smokers and non-smokers and so on. I think we get a lot of smoke being blown around here today, and we've heard it over and over again. And I think our positions are clear. Just to speak to a couple of the issues, however, Mr. Zavornich, Mr. Yaslovsky put this motion request in 11 years ago. Ample notice has been given to the developers, designers, manufacturers of these leaf blowers. If they ever intended to do anything about improving that equipment, they had plenty of time to do it, and they have not. They do not intend to do that. Mr. Burnson, this has been a very nice audience, I want to say that, because just for a few outbursts, a few exceptions, it's been very nice, and listened to both sides. It's a very emotional issue, and I want to compliment them, except for one. Mr. Burnson, for an example, I know we don't have you didn't come down here in a horse and buggy, because if you were to take a horse and buggy, you'd still be en route. And you probably wouldn't be sitting where you are today because you couldn't get around the district. But I would tell you this, however, that we still have some laws we have to abide by, and they were established for good cause. For an example, you came down observing a certain speed limit. You came down in a better automobile today than it would have been 10, 15 years ago because of the restrictions imposed on the developer, you're right, manufacturer of certain automobiles. So times are changing within our environment, and we're going to force, that is, with the adoption of this ordinance, we're going to force the manufacturer of the leaf blower, if there's ever going to be a leaf blower again, to do something about it, improving it. So I would just say to you that the time has come to really make a statement. 11 years has been long enough, Mr. Zavornich, Mr. Burnson. We're not talking about the earthquake retrofit device or the swimming pool device. It's kind of a device, though. But we really are we're talking about a leaf blower. This is altogether different. I know you wish you had my son instead of me, okay. Okay, but in any case, we're talking about a different device here, and we should outlaw it today.
Mr. Zavornich.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. Again, I want to refocus on the issue in regards to what this is going to cost the city of Los Angeles. As I heard from my colleague describe that the Environmental Quality Department, along with the other departments, have taken a look at this issue. The one comment that I heard, however, was the city departments that are presently using leaf blowers are going to absorb the costs of the non-use of that tool of convenience. Absorb. What does that mean? They're either going to have to do less work, which means more of our facilities are not going to be maintained or cleaned, or they're going to have to employ more labor costs in order to do the same job. So any way you look at it, the word absorb means more money is going to be absorbed from the taxpayers of the City of Los Angeles to implement this ordinance. And it is not irrational or imprudent to ask the fiscal agents of this city and to ask the proprietary departments and the non-proprietary departments to let this legislative body know what it's going to cost each of the departments that uses the leaf blower now in the course of working city work on behalf of the taxpayers to clean the parks, to clean the streets, what it's going to cost us in additional labor costs. That is not a question that should not go unanswered before we pass this ordinance today. If you do, what you are saying is that this city council, that in the next few months is going to begin budget deliberations, and you all know we argue about nickels and dimes around here all the time. We're talking about a significant amount of money that we are saying, yes, we as a city council are willing to subsidize those who are against the leaf blowers to the tune of about $1 million, while we take a tool of convenience away from working people at everybody's expense. Whether you're pro or con leaf blower, everybody's going to pay more if the city services cannot use this tool of convenience also. I don't think it's an unreasonable request. I have not heard any dollar figures. No one else here has either. I haven't heard a report from one city department that says, yes, we will absorb this, but it's going to cost you this much more. And I want to get that answer before we vote on it. And I again ask for a one-week continuance until we can get that information back from the city departments to see how much this ordinance is actually going to cost all taxpayers of the City of Los Angeles.
Mr. Bernson.
You know, even after, if this passes and you require an electric leaf blowers, you're still going to have the problem of the dust and other things that are the main objection of the leaf blower. I am going to propose this time a substitute motion. I'm going to propose, I move, that we initiate a ban against all types of leaf blowers with the exception of those which are vacuum rather than blowers and are 70 decibels or under. And I move, in addition to this, that we allow a 6-month period for the industry to provide these blowers for the gardeners. And after the 6-month period, they will enforce against blowers, whether they're electric or whether they are gas-driven or whatever they're driven by, unless they are vacuums and under 70 decibels. And that is my motion. I have a second to that?
Mr. Wax.
Move the previous question.
Okay, previous question has been called for. Prepare the roll on the previous question. Tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
That's the only unanimous vote we'll have on this issue. That is cuts off debate now. We have.
You have a continuance first, Mr. President.
Okay, we have a continuance.
The motion by Savornich.
Prepare the roll on the continuance.
1 week.
1 week. Tabulate the vote.
5 ayes, 10 noes.
That has failed. The next item.
Now you have the question of whether to substitute Councilman Bernson's motion for the ordinance second reading that you have before you.
Prepare the roll on Mr. Bernson's motion. Tabulate the vote.
5 ayes, 10 noes.
That failed.
Now you have the ordinance second reading. You also have the additional motion 19A by Galanter, seconded by Hernandez, that's on the desk.
Let's vote on that motion, 19A.
19A.
Prepare the roll on 19A. Tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
That is approved. Now we have.
Ordinance second reading.
Now we have the. Prepare the roll on the ordinance second reading. Tabulate. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote. Wait. prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
9 ayes, 6 noes.
That is approved. Next item. The next item,
21 called special.
21 is called special.
Councilman Hernandez called 21 special.
Mr. Hernandez, you call 21 special? Sergeant, would you, all right, all those will be out there when we finish the council meeting. Thank you. We'll ask you to leave quietly, if you please, because we do have some city business. She did.
Huh? Yeah. Yeah, I'll do it.
Mr. Hernandez, item 21, did you call 21 special?
Yes, I did. Is there anybody here from the airport?
Yes, right here.
And I spoke to Ms. Galanter a little bit earlier about it, and she explained to me that her committee had been looking at this issue carefully, trying to see how it is that maybe these concessions could contribute more to the city's general fund. When I was asking the questions, we have a variety of vehicles that we have to deal with our infrastructure development costs. And one, for example, is trip fees. When we are licensing something like an automobile rental agency to operate out of the airport, and the airport's generating $40 million, we know that they're giving a license to basically create trips within the infrastructure that we developed. And I was wondering if there's been any discussion whatsoever as to how we can basically charge a fee to the automobile agencies as part of our structure for the trips that are being created by their rental of these vehicles.
Ramon Olivares with the Department of Airports. The only comment or response that I would have to that question, Councilman, is that the department currently is conducting a study. We've hired a number of consultants to conduct a study of the transportation system in the central terminal area with an eye toward reducing congestion and reducing air pollution in the area.
But you're talking about the airport area. I'm talking about the automobiles that leave the airport into our infrastructure.
I would imagine that one of the things that we can look at is the feasibility of imposing such a trip fee for traffic leaving the airport.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about imposing it. I'm talking about automobile rental agencies as part of the fee structure that the airport is collecting the $40 million on right now, for example. Part of that being paid to the city for them basically initiating these trips.
I would imagine that's something that the city attorney would have to take a look at for us. It hasn't been considered in the past, no.
Okay, that was what my question was. Yeah.
Ms. Callander, did you want to be heard on
Yeah,
that?
I actually wanted to respond to that. When the council sometime before I was elected, so it's a while ago now, initiated the ordinance for the Coastal Transportation Corridor Specific Plan, what that does is exactly what you're talking about. It charges trip fees against projects that will generate additional trips. When it was first enacted, the airport was exempted from that ordinance. I am very proud that although it took a long time, we have as a council now undone that exemption. Unfortunately, we have not been able, the city attorneys told us, we could not make that trip fee go back to the size the airport is supposed to be. We had to begin imposing it at the time we enacted the removal of the exemption. So there's a lot of trips that are generated out of the airport that we are not able to, for which we are not able to recover trip fees. The other question that you were asking is the core question that I've been wrestling with since you helped me with Proposition whatever that was, K, the old Proposition K, when we were changing the city charter to eliminate the ban on using funds generated at the airport for the city. Well, we succeeded with the city charter, but we have lost at the federal government. And so I think that you're on to something, and we need to find a way to do that. But the only thing we have in place now is that the airport and expansions at the airport are subject to the trip fees that are in place for everything west of the San Diego Freeway. The car rental agencies don't get a separate hit. But presumably, if there's an expanded development at the airport, then the airport pays it. And I don't think we care as long as we actually get the trip fees.
Right.
And those trip fees, when the airport pays it, do go to the general fund. They don't go to the airport.
And then I noticed that they had different structures for off-site rental agencies and on-site rental agencies. And
That's a more complicated thing, which we were also interested in, and perhaps the staff is better equipped to explain. But it turns out that in order to maintain you better do this. I'm not sure I can repeat it accurately from what you told us in committee, but it's not because there's an ideological difference about them. It was a way of maintaining being able to collect anything from them, and I better defer to staff on that.
Okay. Well,
Goldberg, did you want to be heard?
On two things. First, I just want to congratulate the airport as being a department that has really embraced living wage ordinance and gotten the message, and I urge other departments to follow your lead. I had thought living wage did not apply to this, and the airport remembered that there are custodial services that clean them and has included that in this contract. But the question I had is, when I travel and rent cars in other cities, there's always a city tax that's added, I assume presumably for the infrastructure issues and so forth. Do we do that as well? Do we impose a tax on the rental fee? I remember.
No, we don't. And I believe there is some state legislation that prohibits that in California.
I see. So it's just when I...
Might be federal legislation.
No, it's not federal, because I've paid it in other cities.
No.
I know I've paid it in other cities, because I've asked...
Yeah, I believe it's a California
It must
law.
be a California ban, because I've asked what this extra fee was, and I was told it was a local tax that helped paid for the variety of infrastructure needs that, they didn't put it like that, but that's what they described, that paid for a variety of infrastructure needs that were created by extra cars on the highways and streets of the city. So I was wondering why we didn't have it, but you've answered it. It's a California ban.
Preemption.
Preemption. Okay. Well, maybe we can add that to our legislative list, because it is not a ban that's done in other parts of the country, and there have been no grave negative consequences to those states where it's permitted. So maybe we can add this to our legislative agenda. Thank you. That's
Mr. Burnson.
The money from that would be charged to these automobile rental facilities on the airport, what would that go into the airport's general fund and not be allowed to be used for improvements of the city, or what?
Airport General Fund.
What's that?
It goes into the Airport General Fund.
So in other words, it could not be used to do the things that it really should do, which is Jackie pointed out.
Correct.
In other words, they're going to tax these car rental agencies, so the airlines will not have to pay. No, well, that's what it sounds like to me.
Excuse me, that's changed.
Yeah.
We changed that when the old landing agreements left. I think it was in 1993 or 4. We succeeded in changing the way the airport is financed, and it's now done where the airlines pay for everything on the air side, the airfield, the taxiways, all that stuff, and the department itself finances everything else. The parking lots, the terminal buildings, the restaurant, all that, all that stuff is funded
And
through
the
this kind
airlines
of
which are
revenue.
responsible for bringing all those people there are not responsible for any of that cost, huh?
That's,
Yeah, well,
hey,
you know,
I'm not trying to justify it, I'm just trying to
Now,
explain it to you.
what does this do? Is this going to charge a fee to these car dealers?
They're going to pay, as with
This is
any
a-
other concession. Go ahead.
This is just this item concerns the award of new contracts to 9 operators.
That are already there.
That are already there.
But is it adding something on to the cost of their contract?
No.
It's just a renewal of the contract?
It's essentially a kind of, it was done through a bid process.
It's a new contract, but it's the same kind of contract as the old contract.
Yes.
And you're recommending this, huh?
I'm afraid so.
Even
I
if
don't
you
have any
were, even
choice.
if you were from Michigan, I'll give you a vote.
Not only was for it, I graduated.
Mr. Holden?
Ms. Galanter, maybe you can help me. Ms. Galanter, those auto rentals that are off-site, that are not at the airport, located specifically at the airport, this arrangement is not does not include them, yes or no?
No, it does not.
Does not. And then by what arrangement is the city then affected by the off-site car rentals?
The off-site car rentals operate under a month-to-month agreement. It's basically an over-the-counter permit that they receive at the airport. They also pay rent to the airport, which is...
The off-site pay rent to the airport?
Yes, they do. They
And
pay-
you're over there by aviation, you're far removed from the airport? What kind of stupid agreement was that to begin with?
They pay...
Not, you had nothing to do with it, I'm just
Thank
saying.
They pay essentially for the right to come onto the airport and pick up passengers.
You know, the
Nate,
city-
what they're paying for is, you
I
know, those
understand what
buses
they're
they
paying for
run
now,
around?
but you know, the city owned that and dedicated that to the airport, which is stupid.
Hey, I'm with you.
I mean, we're asking for revenue from the airport, and that's really where you could have gotten it from, is one example, plus parking and all. You gave it all to the airport. I mean, that was really bad. And it's by the time we take it back now. Mr. Deaton?
For many, until
Proposition K.
Proposition K, supported by Councilwoman Galanter, was changed, the charter required us to do that. And so the citizens of Los Angeles made certain, through the charter, that that was the situation. Until
What was
changed-
the situation?
That all money made out there goes in by charter into the fund, and we could not separate them. So it has only been since Prop K was able to do this, there is
When did Prop K pass?
I think it was
1991 or 92.
We have to have a clear distinction between what the airport owns and what's under their jurisdiction, what the city should own, and what should be in the city's jurisdiction for the purpose of having revenue returned to the general fund. Now, we should never have given them the off-site parking to the airport. You should never have given them the off-site rental agreements to the airport. It didn't belong there. That was your way of getting revenue. The city's way of
Oh,
getting
that was
revenue.
a way of building the airport, Mr. Holden.
Hey, the airport was already built before
No,
they
no,
cut
no,
the
no,
deal.
no, no, it had to.
The off-site property,
Mr. President, you had the old airport site. It was getting larger anyway. That's fine. But the fact of the matter is that you could have held this to the side, but they didn't use good
Yeah, but
judgment.
see, we didn't have you here 40 years ago, Nate.
Too
when
late.
We needed it.
Too late.
If you'd have been here then, we'd have had it all solved.
But we could always turn it around, Mr. President.
We hope so. Okay, prepare the roll on 21. Tabulate the vote.
15 eyes.
Yeah, that's approved. Thank you very much. Ms. Goldberg?
President, members of the council, I'd like to move to reconsider item number 9, which is a land use matter in District 13. The people who had come to speak, unfortunately, did not know our procedures and did not get an opportunity to speak, and I think we need to hear them. Plus, I have an amending motion 9A that I hope will address at least some of the issues
We
that are raised.
have several that want to be heard, so could we Reverend Victor Marcisco, would you take the center microphone and maybe speak on you and somebody else speak on behalf of the group?
Thank you.
First of all, there's no objection to reconsideration. So the matter is before us. Now we have an item number 9. Reverend, please.
Mr. Council President and members of the City Council, my name is Reverend Victor Narciso. I'm the senior pastor of Faith in Christ Church. El Roca de Salvacion is part of our concilio. We are here to appeal the recommendation, the finding of the zoning board imposing undue hardships on our church. First of all, I would like to state that the church is not a nuisance to the community. We are a refuge to people who are seeking God. And our only reason for existing is to bring people to God and to instill the fear of God on people, and that people may be right with God, with the nation, and with the community. So we would like to appeal the finding of the zoning board imposing hardships on the church. The church doesn't have a lot of money. We are just living by faith. If those conditions are imposed on the church, it will practically close us. And the greatness of America is in the churches. So I would like to appeal to your sense of decency, fairness, justice, to please set aside the finding of the board, of the zoning board, and do not impose hardships on the church and conditions that are really hard to meet. If we submit jurisdiction to these findings, we will be placing ourselves in a quicksand. We won't be able to get out of it. So we intend to really appeal the finding of the zoning board, if need be, to the court, if you are not going to consider our appeal this morning. Thank you.
All right, Barbara Bethan, did you want to be heard on this?
Yes. Good morning. I and residents thank the Plum Committee, the Council, Ms. Goldberg, her staff, the zoning administrator for hearing our concerns. We are in favor of the amending motions. Activity on the outside patio includes regular, ongoing, not temporary classes, and there are very negative visual and noise impacts as a result of these classes to the surrounding residents. We discussed parking in Plum, and we did some research and found that parking is available at 2 Sunset Boulevard locations. Owners are willing to negotiate the parking expense. Actually, the distance of this parking is not much further than what neighbors have to use in order to access their very own homes. At least 2 additional parking facilities to these 2 have underutilized parking, which likely also is available for lease or rent. We would like limits on hours of operation, provided the city attorney approves, and we want to thank you for all of your consideration.
Next. Edmundo Morales, are you, go ahead, give your name.
No, I'm Ulises Morales, the son of the pastor. I want to thank you for allowing me to express my opinions. My church is very important to me. It's an important part of my life. And if it wasn't for the church, I'd probably be in the streets or in a gang or something. So, if the church wasn't there, there will be no hope for me. And without it, I'd probably be, like as I said, on the streets, causing problems, or I'd probably be looking up into gangs or drugs or getting into alcohol or being in crime. And I'm sure that if the church wasn't there, it would probably be a worse place. And I know we're not creating any problems, though she may say so. And our young people, which some are used to be ex-gang members, they're no longer a problem because of the church. They've been saved and they have changed. And our music and singing and preaching are vital, and they're not noisy. We also closed the doors for they won't be complaining. We done pretty much almost everything they say, and I feel really bad for the things they've been doing to us, like photographs and stuff. I don't feel very comfortable with them taking pictures of us. It kind of like, I don't know, it's like invading our privacy, and I feel that that they're like anti-Christians. I don't know. They're
All
like.
right, we have some other people who want to be heard, so
All
thank
right,
you.
then that's all I got to say. Thank you.
All right, Howard Porter.
Hello, my name is Howard Porter. I wish to thank the council for this opportunity to address you on an issue of vital concern to the residents of Parkman. I live directly across the street from the subject facility. My concerns, as well as my fellow neighbors, have always centered on the issues of noise and parking. I believe both of these amendments address this issue directly and go a long way in alleviating the negative impact caused by both of these problems. Thank you.
No, I don't think. Thank you. Edmundo Morales.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity, council members, council member Jackie Goldberg. I'm the pastor of the church, and basically, we're putting ourselves in your hands. You're the ones that are judging over us, but I would really like to see more involvement at the community level. I am really sad that this had to come all the way up here to take your precious time when we could have resolved it at a community level, something that the neighbors usually objected to. So we're putting ourselves in your hands, and may God richly bless you. Thank you very much.
All right, anyone else want to be heard? Give us your name, please.
My name is Grace Morales, and I'm a church member. And all that I wanted to say is that, the complaints are noise. I wish that, some of you could go when we're singing, when we're having our worship, so you could really hear and judge for yourself if it's true that it's noisy and that, we're making a problem. I don't think we are. We have small children, and they're fine inside. We're inside the church. It's not noisy for us. I don't understand how it could be noisy for the people outside. And I just want one of you guys to, if you could go over there and listen, and then pass your judgment on that. Thank you.
Malice Escamilla.
Good morning. I'm 15 years old. As you said already, Marlise Escamilla is my name. I'm a singer in the church. I've been there for a year. For me, the church is really important because it has helped me to be out of drugs, out of gangs. I go to Hollywood High School. Every day, the teenagers offer me drugs or if I want to be in their gang. But I talk to them about the church, and they stop offering me those drugs, and they walk away. If I didn't know this church, I probably would be one more of those teenagers that don't listen to their parents and do whatever they want to. And I'm here to inform you that the noise she says we do is a lie. As I already told you, I'm a singer in the church, and I try my very best to not make a lot of noise. Well, not only me, but all the sisters and brothers. We can't even go out to the church property because she's already filming or taking pictures. Why does she do this? We have no idea. Everything she says is a lie. I think what she really wants is us to move from this church, but please comprehend us. We need the church. We need to stay. We don't have the money to move or to buy another church. And if you tell us to move, since we don't have the money, probably this is going to happen. The church is going to be closed. We won't go to church anymore. We're going to become bad teenagers. But I'm also here to ask you from the bottom of my heart and in a good way to please let us continue worshiping the Lord in this church. And if you want to, one day you could come with us and check if we do or don't do a lot of noise. Not only check on that, but check on all the things I've been telling you. Thank you very much. This is all I'm going to say.
Okay, Ms. Goldberg, those are all the cards we have, so we'll close the public hearing. I'll call upon you.
Yes, this is a situation of a very small building right there on Silver Lake near the Hollywood Freeway, but it abuts right up against a residential community. And for some time, the community has appealed to my office to find some way to deal with some of the problems, primarily parking and noise. We offered on a number of occasions to ask the church to enter into a kind of a mediation or to get the city attorney's mediation group out, and they refused, actually, unfortunately, to participate in that process. I've sent out a deputy who is bilingual, who understands the community, who went on a number of occasions, and she assures me that there is actually a problem. We would like to add to the conditions that are before you today the following. First, to delete the strikeout part on condition 9 and increase the radius from 0.2 of a mile to a 2,500-foot radius, and the underlying language, and also to require the enclosure of the patio area with a 6-foot solid wall. I think if they were to do those things, we would address the parking and noise issues. It is not our goal for the church to close and leave. It is our goal for the church to find a way to have its services and its meetings and its classes in harmony with the neighborhood in which the church exists, which I believe is a highly Christian principle, as well as a principle of the Judeo-Christian tradition. So I don't think there's any conflict here except for the need for the community and the church to find a way to have peace, and I believe this will do so. So I will move it and urge that you adopt it. I understand, however, that the zoning administrator needs to make some findings before we do that, and so I would ask through the chair for her to do so.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Emily Gable Luddy. On condition number 2C, which would require enclosure of the patio area, findings have been made for condition number 2C already with respect to sound emanating from the church property and facility, so I believe that condition is covered. On condition number 9, I would add an additional finding that indicates that, in fact, at the Plum Committee, and today new evidence has been submitted that indicates that there is parking available within a short radius of the church property itself. There is no parking on site at all. If the church were coming to the city today, it would be required to provide between 15 and 20 on-site parking spaces. The reasonable alternative, therefore, is to require that there be parking secured off-site within a 2,500-foot radius and maintained for use by the church members. The 2,500-foot radius is consistent with a yard variance that was granted on this church property when it was first approved. So the approval of the radius will be consistent with that, and it is in fact more generous than the 0.2 of a mile that was approved at the committee report. Finally, I would say that this condition does not preclude the church from conforming with condition number 2B, which asks that they submit to us a plan for carpooling and bus shuttle, nor does it conflict with condition number 8, which would require a reevaluation of parking should the church or any successor church expand in the future.
Okay. Mr. Burnson?
Yes, members of the council, I think all of us value the presence of houses of worship, regardless of what denomination they might be in our neighborhoods. I think they're very basic and very desirable. However, they must not be a nuisance to the community. They have to be something that is positive and doesn't disturb the peace and quiet that a residential neighborhood is entitled to enjoy. In this particular case, this was probably an ill-conceived choice to start with as a church, and I think that the conditions that have been imposed, if they are able to be adhered to, will make the best of a bad situation. Sometimes you just have to look for another location. And it doesn't mean that you stop worshiping and going to church or to synagogue or wherever you go. It means you find a place where you can do the things you need to do in that house of worship without disturbing people. Now, I was particularly disturbed by the young lady who said that it meant she was going to stop worshiping. I mean, that is not the intent. The intent is to get a location where you can enjoy the things. You should be able to have services on a patio where you don't disturb other people. So if this doesn't work with these conditions, it doesn't mean you have to go out of business. It means you follow your leadership and your congregation and you find a location where you can do the things you need to do and do them without disturbing other people so that you can enjoy fully your religious activities. I would urge an aye vote to the amendment and to the committee report. Thank you.
Hernandez.
You know, members of the council, I sat on the Plum Committee also when we dealt with this issue, and afterwards I spoke with Councilwoman Goldberg and I shared with her that that was a tough one for me. You know, it's a tough one because it seems that in our communities we lack gathering places for families, and especially in the inner city. It seems that in our communities we lack positive locations, and this is one of those locations for the worshipers. At the same time, it was a building that was built in a different era, in a community of a different era, and things have changed. And I agree that the ideal situation would be for the congregation, which is not a rich congregation, not a large congregation, to have another location. It's just that those things don't happen automatically. And the kinds of conditions that we have imposed could create a hardship. But at the same time, the reality is it shouldn't be a hardship if it's a place of worship. And when I say that, I think that when Ms. Goldberg talked about trying to put together meetings, there should be cooperation on both sides to make it work, because it's a positive if both sides choose to try and work together. The reality is we have to understand the importance of positive things. And the church members have to understand the importance of that neighborhood and the fact that this is one of the institutions of that neighborhood, and it should be part of that residential neighborhood, but in a positive manner, not in a negative manner. So I just want to encourage both sides to continue to try and work together. And I know that the councilwoman's office wants to make a positive, continue to be a positive. These are difficult decisions we're making, but the reality is your congregation is growing. Families are coming together. And the building has its limits, and you're at those limits. And I think these conditions are trying to expand those limits so that you can continue to work there.
Okay, what do we have before us now? 9A.
Mr. President, you also have to adopt the additional findings as described by the zoning administrator.
Okay, prepare the roll on 9A. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. And now,
Now you have 9 before you as amended, including the additional findings.
with the findings are included. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Is Laura Chick, did she leave or she just stepped out? Oh, she's here. Members of the council, before we leave, we would like to take a group picture, which we have not taken with this new rookie we have, Cindy. So we'll do that just as soon as we get through the agenda. So the next item.
25 called
In other words,
special by
please don't
Councilmember
leave.
Goldberg.
Ms. Goldberg, you called 25 special?
Yes, this is back. I'm not sure why it was held over.
We're supposed to get some information.
Okay.
From the Department of Transportation.
I still have objections to the idea of impounding a car for 3 citations instead of 5, because just yesterday in my field office, a gentleman came in, and it wasn't around this, it was for something else. His car was impounded. But he is a person who works for a living, and his car was in a place where a sign was down. To make a long story short, it was going to cost him more than $225, even though he got his car the same day. He was charged a storage fee. He was charged a release fee. If we are going to charge people with 3 parking tickets, which are easy to get, these kinds of extra fees, we're going to end up not only with people losing their cars because they won't be able to pay that, but we'll also end up with cars in garages that they don't want and can't sell and have no place to store. I don't think this is a good idea, and I would urge a no vote on it. I think 5 is certainly sufficient. But at 3, people sometimes lose them, forget them, didn't have the cash at the time. And I think that what we're going down is a road that's going to cost people at a lower end their cars, and it's going to cost the city a lot of money in storage for cars that we don't want and don't need.
We asked this matter be continued for some information.
Right.
You want to give us that information? Mr. Holden, I know, wants to be heard, but let's get the information.
I think I've got the questions and most of the answers here. Mike Inouye, DOT. The first question was, how many scofflofts exist today? There are approximately 40,000. The second question was, how many scofflofts would be created if it changed from 5 to 3 outstanding tickets? That number would jump to about 45,000 more, taking it up to like 90,000. The third question was, of the number of scofflofts found each month, what percentage are found by parking enforcement? The answer is almost all. A small number of scofflofts do pay their outstanding tickets when they're required to register their cars, so they go to DMV. The fourth question was, of the number of scofflofts found each month, what percentage of them pay their citations after being booted or towed? All must pay to get the boots removed, or their cars are not released. The fifth question, does the city offer a payment plan to scofflofts? And we do. The answer is yes. The percentages are 60%, 20-20. So there's 3 options to pay there. 6, do we boot a vehicle if it is found with only minor violations such as expired meters? The answer is yes. We, however, tow immediately if the amount of outstanding amounts due the city is over $1,000. And these are more serious violations typically associated with them, such as red curbs, disabled parking violations, bus lanes, and fire lanes. 7, can the OPG handle the volume of tolls if the proposal is approved? For the most part, scofflofts are booted and left where they're caught. So there is no storage charge there at all in terms of the OPG. No tow is involved unless it's a very expensive one where they're over $1,000. My discussions with the OPG says they would welcome an increase in workload if we were to tow exclusively, which we plan not to. Those were the questions that were relayed to me to be answered.
Chair recognizes Councilman Hernandez and then Councilman Holden.
I'm a little confused here. Are you saying that right now we're not towing vehicles when you use the term scofflaws?
You're right. Scofflofts are those defined by law as having 5 or more outstanding tickets presently.
But, and you were saying that of those with 5 or more, are they towed into impound garages?
For the most part, no. They're booted. That means we put a Denver boot on them right there on the spot.
Okay, so we put a Denver boot on about 40,000 a year.
Oh, there's a small percentage that are towed if there are over 1,000.
What would that percentage be?
I think we tow in the neighborhood of about 10,000 vehicles for scofflaws.
So 10,000 of the 40,000.
Right.
I'm trying to get an idea.
No, but the towing also occurs not, because I should be more clear on that matter. Also, if it's left there and the boot is, in other words, the payment is not made and the car is in the area, then we remove it by tow.
Yeah, but you tell me that 75% of the vehicles that you put basically a boot on
Right.
stay there.
I'm sorry?
You're telling me that 75% of the vehicles you put a boot on
Right.
are not towed to a storage yard?
Right, they're
Now,
booted there.
but yet you claim that only 40 to 45% are cleared.
I'm sorry? Cleared?
When we asked the ones you put a boot on or the ones that you're towing, how many are recovered, your report said 40 to 45%.
No, what do you mean by cleared? I'm sorry. We boot it, and if they pay it,
See,
they're
prior
released.
to today, I was under the impression that you got 5 tickets or more, you're basically towed to a storage yard. And that 45% of those vehicles are actually claimed, are taken out of storage. 55% were staying in or being sold, but weren't being recovered.
No, the bulk of it stays on the street and is booted and is released on the street after they make payment to our parking
But the
violations.
report said that was 40 to 45%.
I'm not aware of that statistic. That's what I'm acting a little confused here because
yeah.
I'm not aware of that statistic.
Members of the council, again, I'm going to ask for a continuance to straighten this out because the original report, and that's why we asked for more information. The original report basically told us that 40 to 45% of the vehicles that were basically being towed were being reclaimed.
Wait, if you're talking about of those captured, how many pay? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's on the report. They said 40 to 45%.
Yeah, I think that's a fair number. About 50% pay their fees, and a huge amount is dismissed, either because the tickets, we had misinformation when we booted them. So a very small percent is actually left there to be sold on a lien sale. If that's the question that you're asking.
Yeah, well, the report basically says, waiting until vehicle accumulations 5 or more citation increases the cost of redeeming the vehicle substantially. For example, only 45 to 50% of the vehicles impounded for 5 or more citations is recovered by the owner.
Well, yeah, and remember, only about a quarter of those go to tow. So it's not it's 45% of a 25% that get towed.
Well, see, that's why I wanted to ask for the 2 weeks so that we could get those figures straightened out.
Yeah.
Because we're getting a whole different report right now. The impression we had at the last hearing, at the last discussion, was that basically you got 5 tickets, you get towed.
No.
What you're telling me now is that
No,
only
that's not true.
25% of those vehicles end up being, well, you said 10%.
10% gets towed, the 90% gets
So you're
booted.
saying about 25% of
However,
the
what I
40,000.
said was, if they leave the car there after being booted after a certain number of days, and we give them 72 hours,
Okay, so now.
then we try to remove the car as a hazard
Yeah,
out there.
and now what you're saying is if the statistics stayed the same, and which they won't because you got less infractions, you're saying about 90,000 would be booted,
Right. We'll double the number on file.
and 25% would be about 20,000 vehicles. Well, that's what those kinds of things. I just would ask for 2 weeks extension, and I'd like the department to be able to talk to my office at least to answer some questions directly, because I know that we were trying to get this information prior to today, but there was supposedly vacations and some other items that intervened, so.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I was told to report directly to council with the answers, so.
Okay.
Well, I'll provide you with
Yeah.
additional information as you need.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilman Holden.
Mr. President, I think it's not a good thing to do at this time, Mr. Hernandez, is to hold this legislation up. I think there's a deadline approaching beyond which you cannot introduce the legislation to cause the action to take place that we really want, number one. Number two, the real problem that associated with waiting for 5 citations, which didn't come across too clearly, is that it's easier to pay 3 citations and penalties than it is for a person to pay 5. There's more of a hardship, especially if they parked in a handicap zone or in a red zone, whichever the case may be, and then it becomes almost prohibitive because they don't have the money. Now, the next statement I think that needs to be made is that if you have outstanding citations, you cannot renew your license for your vehicle. Is that correct?
That's correct.
It's all included, which therefore means then that a person who just got the license renewed for the vehicle go out and get 5 citations in the calendar year of the vehicle registration requirement something is wrong. Then they can't, most of the people can't afford, 50% at least, don't have that kind of money. But if they paid after 2 or after 3, it's a good, and plus penalties, it's a good chance they would have enough money to bail the car out.
So, put that on item 27.
So I think what you're doing is imposing a real hardship by granting 5 citations before booting. It just really complicates the issue. The best way to do it, I think, is to roll it back to 3, number 1. Number 2, when you violate the law, you understand that you have to pay the price. And that's what we ought to be doing here. Instead of giving all this grace period, I think that we're interfering with the legal process and with the Department of Transportation trying to keep the streets clear of obstructing vehicles that are not in compliance with the law. So I don't know why you need to wait another week or so. You're going to stall it where you can't introduce legislation. Is that right, Mr. Kosh? What's the deadline?
January 16th.
Well, I mean, wait until first of all, you can always come back and oppose it if you want to. But January 16th is the last day we can introduce legislation on this.
To have an author ask the Ledge Council to draft something is January 16th.
We between a rock and a hard place, Mr. Hernandez. Between now and then, you can still come back and say we changed our mind, but we got to go forward today, I think. I would ask for an aye vote today.
The chair recognizes Councilman Hernandez again.
You know, members of council, I'm kind of sorry we're not discussing item 27 today because that's part of the reason I'm having a problem with this particular legislation that we're being asked to sponsor. You know, in my district, I actually have streets that were built before the automobile was created. They're one-lane streets. And my constituents, for the life of me, on trash pickup day, cannot park on their street. And so they get tickets on an ongoing basis because I haven't been able to get Department of Transportation officers to understand that they have to park in the front yard when they can't park on the street. Because these were houses that were built prior to us having people who issue tickets. I have constituents who basically the day the trash is picked up cannot park a car in front of their house. And sorry to say their houses was built before there was driveways. But I haven't been able to get the Department of Transportation to understand that. And see, if we were going to be discussing item 27, I was going to be talking about overlay zones where you can create some exemptions for people from getting these tickets because on an ongoing basis, we're calling the Department of Transportation asking about these tickets that are being issued. Now, what this legislation basically says, Mr. Holden asks, how can you get 5 tickets in a year? Well, if you clean a street once a week, you can get 4 a week in my district. If you have to park in an area where a DOT officer knows he can give you a ticket. Well, that's the problem. We're imposing the law. No, this is streets that don't have other sides, Mr. Holden. I'm trying to explain to you, it's one-lane street.
I'd like to, Mr. Hernandez, you can talk, don't talk to him, talk to me.
So,
don't talk.
So I'm trying to explain to it because I'm dealing with this issue on an ongoing basis in my district, and I wish I had streets as wide as Mr.
I just
Holden,
want
but
you to
I don't.
know, I just want you to know that Sacramento is waiting for bated breath for our decision on this.
So I cannot support this the way it stands right now, and I'm asking for a no vote.
Okay, prepare the roll on the item.
On the item? No vote. No vote.
Tabulate them.
10 ayes, 5 noes.
All right, that is approved. Next item.
9-6. 32 called special, a card was submitted.
Mr. Shapiro. You can talk on 32 and 35 because you...
All right, they're both confusing issues. Number 32, I signed to speak on this because it was very confusing to me. Here you're requesting $842,000 for 3 agencies as part of the Child Care, Youth, and Neighborhood Facilities Matching Grant Loan Fund. I don't think that's so bad. Probably all right. I don't know. They don't explain what they are. California Youth Theater, Arroyo Vista Family Health, and East 60th Street Community Improvement Club. $800,000. Then you say this is the 7th round of the 24th year of the block grant program. and you say you want the city council to approve 20 agencies that are recommended for funding. Well, that 20 agencies must have been recommended before these 3 are recommended now. And then you say in the end of this that the CAO reports this action involves $6.4 million that were included in the 95-96, 96-97, and 97-98. That's 3 years. 3 years the money's been laying around. Somebody isn't using it, so now somebody is saying, hey, better use it. Well, if you got this kind of confusion that's involved in 3-year program, in the 7th round of this particular one right now, of the 24th year, I think they either get more explicit on what they're writing for the public to see, let everybody know what's happening. We are talking about a $6.4 million project which can have a lot of good uses in the city. But if it's going to be this confusing, I'm sure that the people in the city council find it just as confusing as I do. Mr. President.
Are you going to talk on 35?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to talk on 35. 35 involves an ongoing program that's been active in the city for the last 10 years, too. In it, you offer a reward for a crime, hit and run twice, and you say it should be done. Something should be done about it, and then you decide to give a $25,000 reward. Well, I say, look back upon what the record says about how this reward is working out. In 1997, and the figures I got available are from January to June, there were 26 rewards offered. Nobody claimed anything. In 1996, you had 72 rewards totaled. In the whole year, nobody claimed anything. In fact, over the last 10 years, when you look at what's been done, there were 311 rewards offered by the city council, but the police tell them this got to be done, and they did it. Of the 311 rewards that were offered, 21 were claimed. That's a percentage of 6.6. That means 6 out of every 100 rewards that you do get any kind of action. And a lot of these rewards were offered right at the inception of the program. As I say, there were none offered in the last. Nobody claimed any reward in the last year. And as long as you're going to use so much money of the cities in offering a reward system, I would say find out something that works, Mr. President.
We have items
32 and 35.
Any discussion? If not, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Those are approved. Next item.
Special 1, Mr. President, is on the desk. It was introduced this morning by Councilmember Hernandez, seconded by Ms. Miskowski. The necessary findings would have to be made on the need to act, and the city attorney will go over those with you.
Yes, thank you. The Association of Latin American Gardeners has organized a hunger strike on the south lawn of City Hall. This protest began after the holiday recess. The motion requests the council to approve a 2-week renewable permit. The council would need to make the findings that the need to act arose after the posting of the agenda, and there's an immediate need to act. And I'd like to also tell the council that Mr. Brown from our office is here to address the legal issues such as the hold harmless, insurance, and permit questions.
Okay, we got to vote on the findings?
Yes.
Okay, prepare the roll on the findings. Tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
The matter is before us. Mr. Hernandez?
Yeah, members of the council, again, as we stated earlier, to the Gardeners Association, is a very emotional issue. They have initiated a hunger strike. In our discussions with them, it's been until the law actually gets signed by the mayor or the mayor vetoes it. The reality is, it is raining at night and so forth, and they have the First Amendment right to protest and demonstrate. They don't have the First Amendment right to camp at City Hall. And so what this is basically allowing them to do is to have their tents to do that. My understanding, we'd have to ask the Department of Recreation and Parks to issue a permit for them to do that. And that would be part of the instruction, hopefully, if we pass this motion. And they have to produce for us some kind of a hold harmless agreement in regards to the insurance liability issues. Was that it, Ms. Brown? Yeah.
Yeah, except for the requirement of insurance, that is it. Typically, in issuing these permits, the department requires, and it's the Department of Recreation and Parks that has control over this site. Typically, in issuing the permit, they would require special events insurance. And the cost of that insurance, I'm told, is between $100 and $150 per day.
Right, and we've instructed them that they'd have to try and secure that insurance. I'm just asking for an aye vote, Mr. President.
Mr. Holden?
Well, I think that with those conditions, one, we grant the permit, and two, the insurance to indemnify the city. Is that correct?
I think the issue is whether they actually obtain the insurance. I think the department would be reluctant to issue the permit unless the insurance is obtained, and so that's an issue, I think.
You can't issue the permit unless the insurance is obtained. Is that what you're saying?
Typically, they would not. However,
Okay.
the council could waive that requirement.
Secure it, right?
Yes, the hold harmless agreement that's...
But if you waive it, what if somebody falls down out there? They're going to sue the city. What the hell are you talking about?
Yes, the city would be assuming the liability, and the insurance policy usually is in the amount of $1 million. So if they would get the insurance, the city would be protected up to a limit of
The city
$1
would pay the
million.
insurance, in other words.
No. Right now, they have been instructed they have to provide that insurance.
What if they do not provide the insurance?
Then typically, the department would not issue a permit to any
And
group
then what
that does
happens in
not-
those circumstances?
Well, the group is there at this time.
Okay,
and the
Mr.
council's
Hernandez, you're going to
authorizing-
help us in that regard.
That's what we're working on. I did not come asking us to waive the insurance requirement.
Well, they're out there right now without a permit. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Pardon?
They've already agreed to pay for
Oh, okay, I have no problem with that.
I mean, that's what we're working on right now.
Okay, now would this be just for 2 weeks only, 2 weeks plus 2 weeks plus 2 weeks?
Well, right now, my understanding, and I'm hoping this hunger strike ends fairly shortly, I can't control it. I can share with you that it is an emotional issue. They are concerned about it. And our reality is, we created the issue.
On my time as president, the last hunger strike that was really publicized was in Ireland, and we know what happened there. A lot of people was really serious about a hunger strike.
No British troops here.
And, you know, it's a lot of things happen. So I'm going to vote with Mr. Hernandez and with my heart.
Thank you for understanding civil rights.
Mr. Alarcon?
Allow the group that's on the line to stay there, to get a permit, to stay there.
Council members, I don't want to make light of this issue. There was just a couple of days ago an inmate died on a hunger strike here in LA County. So it's a very serious issue. I certainly hope it doesn't go 2 weeks, because that's a very difficult situation, and we'll work with Councilmember Hernandez to bring a very positive closure to that hunger strike. So I just wanted to emphasize that I think this is the least we can do to put ourselves in a position of perhaps negotiating a way out of the hunger strike. To do otherwise might cause greater problem.
President, we don't know just how serious this is going to be, this effort. I think if someone is out there 7 days, 6 days, 7 days, we know, and they're not eating, they're not drinking water, they're not going to be around long. They're drinking water? Those guys in Ireland didn't drink any water either, did they? They drink Gatorade. Water and nutrients, okay. In that case, well, after about 7 days, we better go send the health officers out there to check them out and see how well they're doing, because some of these guys may have to go into the hospital.
Okay, Ms. Galanter?
I move the previous question.
Prepare the roll on the previous question, which would cut off debate. Tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
That is approved. Now we have the matter before us. Special 1.
Special 1 with the added amendment by Councilman Hernandez.
Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. Next item.
This is a time for comments from the public on non-agenda items.
Okay, we have a Kim Sell. And then Michael J.
No. Hi, I brought something to show you today. My name is Kim Sell, and I live at the new Hollywood Hotel and Apartments, located at 5217 Hollywood Boulevard. I kind of have to explain this a little bit. This is a baby blue clock and a baby pink clock, and then 3 clear clocks. Everybody always asks me what time it is, so I think I figured it out. I don't really know what the answer is, but it starts out like this.
Does this come under the jurisdiction of the city council, Ms. Sell? It does? I think you better get stronger tape.
You hold it. Okay.
Yeah, finally found something.
It was, goes like this. Boys and girls, the time is clear. We need world love. And in case this is too difficult for you, some of you, or too hard to carry around, I have some world change. So let's try to end hunger and homelessness. And thanks a lot. Oh, and I also got
Michael J.
got all your backs, so you're covered.
Michael J. Leonard Shapiro.
Mr. President and council members, there's an item I want to speak about today that's for some reason or other, it's been flowing right over the heads of the people of this city council and the
What else
people
do
of
we
this
have,
city. It's not the
Diane?
you. The LA Times ignores it. The Daily News ignores it. And it's one of the worst potential disasters that the city can face. In 1986, the County Department of Public Works was placing down a new brace, 22 feet down, below 2 sanitation drainage that we had at 15 feet and 17 feet. They were propping it up. In the process of doing this at 22 feet, they ran into a pool of flowing gasoline. Quote, I have the papers on this. I offered the papers to Mr. Holden's office. I gave the papers to the city officials and to the county officials. I want to know what's being done about this. The county said it's the city's fault, and the city said it's the county's fault. But the point is, this pool of free-flowing gasoline, in all probability, came from a refinery of Chevron, one of their pipes that broke. And it broke in 86. And when it was discovered in 86, and the contractor was told to fix it, he didn't fix it. He covered it up. And in 95, it was found again that it's still down there. That pool is still down there. It's in the water table, and it's in the entire area that's contaminated. There's 2 things involved here. One is that the water table is getting polluted. The second thing is that this gasoline, if it ever blows up, we'll have an explosion in here that you'll wonder, well, it'll be worse than an earthquake. If it doesn't blow up and just burns down there, we'll still have a sort of a disastrous situation. My point is, how can the city and county officials sit by, point the fingers at each other, when I have documentary evidence to prove that this thing is actually occurring, and say we can't do anything about it? We'll have to let it sit there until it explodes or until it gets in the water table and 100,000 people die of pollution. I can't see how anybody on the city council can allow this potential catastrophe to continue unabated and doing nothing, just waiting and waiting and waiting. Mr. President.
Richard Robinson.
Mr. President, members of council, the elected Charter Reform Commission meets Thursday at Water and Power 111 North Hope in the conference room. Thank you.
That's all the cards we have, so the public comment period is closed. Next item.
Motions for posting and referral.
If there's no objections, unanimous vote. Next item,
Excuses on the desk, Mr. President. Councilmember Alacona has requested to be excused city business Friday the 9th. Meets council policy. Meets council.
city business when?
City business,
What day?
Friday, January 9th.
Friday, February what?
Friday, January the 9th, meets council policy.
Unanimous vote.
Councilmember Alatorre has requested to be excused city business Friday, January the 9th, meets council policy.
Unanimous vote.
Councilmember Savornich has requested to be excused city business Friday, January 16th, meets council policy.
Unanimous vote.
Mr. President, you request to be excused city business January 30th, meets council policy.
Unanimous vote.
The desk is clear.
Mr. President, I've also requested, I'd like to request to be excused Friday, January 9th at 10 o'clock.
A motion would be required, Mr. President. That'll leave
Mr.
10.
Holden.
I
Mr.
move,
Holden.
Mr. President.
Mr. Holden moves. Mr. Holden?
Mr. President, respectfully request that the IGR committee, which was scheduled to meet at 1 o'clock, will instead meet at 2 o'clock because misscheduling.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. The next item,
The desk is clear.
we have adjourning motions. Would everyone please stand? And then all the members of the council, please, let's take a picture.
Yeah.
Okay. Members of the council, I'd ask that we adjourn in memory of Alfonso Duarte, who passed away on Christmas Eve at age 89, a descendant of the last Spanish governor of California. He leaves 2 daughters, 9 grandchildren, 10 great-grandchildren, brother and a sister. I'd ask we also adjourn in memory of Sonny Bono, who was killed in the... All members, Sonny Bono was here celebrating Project Restore about 5 years ago. And I also ask that we adjourn in memory of Father Lawrence Caruso, who passed away. Father Caruso was head of it was pastor of St. Anthony's Church in Long Beach. He leaves brother Henry and Albert, and his nephew is Rick Caruso, the president of the Water and Power Commission.
I'd like to be on that too, please.
All members on that. And
John.
Mr. Alarcon.
Yes, I'd like to adjourn in the memory of Hagop Janbozian. He was the director of Ararat House in the 7th Council District. Ararat is a Armenian residential facility it's a boarding home as well as a hospital, or more or less in terms of convalescent. It's a beautiful facility. They have a chapel and a 600-room banquet facility, and he really dedicated his life to not just managing the facility. His wife was telling me yesterday that the Armenian community, being a very diverse religious community, that he respected everybody's religious beliefs, and she even said that when you would have situations where some faiths would ask that the spouse change their faith to match their spouses, that he would be there to provide religious counseling to those who couldn't bring themselves to that kind of change. And so he respected all religious faiths within the Armenian community. It's a wonderful facility, and we wish the family all the best in reflection of his tremendous contributions to our world.
Mr. Alatorre.
Mr. President, members, this past New Year's Day, about 2 o'clock in the morning, I had received a phone call from Central Bureau about a young man that I knew, a member of the Los Angeles Police Department, that was killed tragically in a party that was given by one of the local gangs in the Hollenbeck area. Steve Gaida, who was young man that been in the police force for about 7 years, And he will be remembered not just for the leadership, his leadership, but also for just a great sense of humor and always found the best in people, even under the worst set of circumstances. He led about 18 men that went in to break up this party. And from what we can understand, he saw somebody that was wanted for murder on a separate incident, proceeded to chase him, and gunfire was exchanged. And as a result of that, not only the person that killed Steve, but also Steve Guida was tragically slain. First death of a police officer in the new year. And it only speaks to the importance of trying to do something about the insanity and proliferation of guns and just total disrespect for human life that we are seeing in our society. So all of you probably are aware, have been notified that the burial ceremony will be on, well, there'll be Thursday viewing, and the ceremony will be, burial will be on Friday. And people have wanted to know how they can be of assistance, and the Hollenbeck Division has started for his wife and for his children a fund, and anybody that's interested, they could contact the Hollenbeck Police Department. Secondly, I'd like to adjourn in the memory of a
All
man.
members on that.
All members. Secondly, I'd like to adjourn in the memory of a great union man. I met Jerry Crimmins, God, when I first got into politics. He lived in my district for many, many years until he moved to Sacramento. He was with the head of the building trades, both here locally and with the state of California. Jerry was just a real beautiful, beautiful human being. I had the privilege of working with him here, and I worked with him when he was in Sacramento when I was a member of the state legislature. And I know that for those that knew Jerry, they will always remember him for the great trade unionist that he was, married to a woman for 42 years, also just an absolutely lovely woman, Kathleen. He has sons, Dennis and Jerry and Tim, and a daughter, Ann, and 9 grandchildren that I know will miss him. And I know that a lot of other people that knew him loved him and had a lot of respect for him, so I adjourn his memory.
I'd like to be a
All
second.
members
All
on
members
that.
on that.
Mr. Burnson, did you?
Yeah, I have an announcement. The Plum Committee will meet, it's now 1:45. We will meet at 1:30 in this room.
Ms. Galanter?
Yeah, I'd like to be on the Cremens one as well. And I'd like to ask that we adjourn in memory of Mr. John Corcoran, who was a longtime resident of Venice, known as Hippie John, the mayor of Venice, who died suddenly at the age of 51 on the 30th of December. He's survived by his 12-year-old daughter, Janice, his longtime soulmate, Marianne Collins, 2 adult sons, John and Christopher, a sister, Margaret Reyes, and 2 brothers, Bill and Dan. John was a member of the Plumber and Steamfitters Union, and he managed real estate in the Venice area. He spent a lot of his time bicycling and gardening, a very familiar sight along the bike path at sunset. There will be a memorial service at high noon on Saturday the 10th on the beach at Oceanfront Walk and Rose Avenue.
Mr. Holden?
Mr. President, members, we lost a longtime fighter for our community. His name is Mr. D. Hodge. He worked for the Golden State Mutual Life Insurance Company for over 50 years. Was active until a few years ago when he took ill. The Golden State has established a scholarship fund in his memory, and he lived in the 10th District for over 40 years, for those years. And the service will be on Thursday, the 8th, at 12 noon at Westminster Presbyterian Church. And we can contact Lisa in my office.
Mr. Ridley Thomas?
Second on that from Mr. Holden. Mr. President, members of the council, I respectfully request that we adjourn in memory of the Reverend T.J. Bottoms, who pastored the All People's Christian Church. He passed on December 21. He was 38 years of age. Provided a tremendous service in his ministry, at All People's Church and beyond as a member of the Disciples of Christ denomination. The memorial service was held on this past Sunday, and for this young man who gave of himself to help that community and several other communities, we wish that he be remembered in the appropriate way.
Mr. Wax?
Yes, Mr. President. First, I'd like the council to adjourn in memory of Donald Essel, who's the father of Christine Essel. Okay. And two people, national figures that I thought we should take note of. First, Dominique de Menil, who, although she was an extraordinary wealthy woman in Houston and is responsible for both the museum there and the Rothko Chapel, and was also one of the people who has been most devoted with her energy and her resources to human rights in this country, to help MoCA when MoCA got started in Los Angeles, to give it help establish its international reputation. She came on the board and attended all of the meetings and did a lot to help us establish the reputation of this museum, and had made a great contribution to this city. And also I'd like the council to adjourn in the memory of Brendan Gill, one of the really most remarkable men one would ever meet. He was the chairman of the Warhol Foundation, of which I sit on, so I got to know him pretty well over the last 2 years. But for more than 50 years, Brendan Gill and the New Yorker were really pretty synonymous. He was one of these great men of letters, you know, just witty and erudite and a delightful person to be with, a wonderful, wonderful human being whose writings spoke also to Los Angeles, and he has family here. And he'll be greatly missed by anyone who has ever picked up the New Yorker, and he just represents something in our society. It seems like a vanishing breed, but not really. He wouldn't see it that way. He would just see it as a little different breed, and he's just really, truly remarkable, and I'll give the clerk the pertinent information.
I'd like to join you on that.
Ms. Walters?
I'd like to be a seconder on the one for Reverend Bottoms, please.
President, and so I'd like to join with Joel on that.
All right, call the roll. All right, the council is adjourned. Please, all members at the center table.